بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. The study that we're going to look at today is a study of dreams. It's not something we study every day, and not something which is as easily accessible in terms of fiqh and knowledge as perhaps people think. And al-ru'a, or the dreams, the religious dreams, it is something which many people, especially those who have more knowledge about the topic, they don't like to get too involved in. They don't like to involve themselves a lot in interpreting dreams. And there is different ways and different manhaj, different paths that people take towards interpreting dreams. There are some people, there's one group of people that are at one extreme, in that they engage a lot in interpreting dreams, and they will be very relaxed in their approach towards the dreams. They will interpret how they like. They'll be very quick to interpret something, quick to attribute a meaning to it, quick to decide for themselves what that meaning is. And they're very eager to look at the dreams, even though they don't have knowledge about the ahkam of al-ru'a, of dreams. And that is one extreme, and it's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. Because interpreting dreams is not as simple as people think. It's not just about making your guess, your best guess. It's not something which has no consequences if you get it wrong, or if you say something wrong about it. It's not something which you can just pick up a book from the library, or pick up a book from even from what is attributed to the ulama of the past, to say, like you've got some kind of encyclopedia of dreams, some kind of book of dreams. And so then people have this idea. There's a book of dreams, especially they refer to a book called the Intepretation of the Dreams, but for Ibn Sirin. And Ibn Sirin was one of the ulama of the Salaf and the Tabi'een who was expert on topics of the dreams. But the book that's attributed to him, known for interpreting dreams, is not actually his book. It's not actually his book. People put his name on it, attribute it to him, and they think because he was known for that topic, therefore this book must be good. But the book does not belong to him. It was not written by him. And there's nothing really left from what is available, nothing available from his books on the topic either. But some people pick up those books and they start to read it and say, okay, you had a dream, tell me your dream. And they start to look through the book, there's some kind of reference, some kind of dictionary of dreams. That is not the way we interpret dreams. On the other side, the other extreme in relation to the dreams are those who completely ignore it. So they want nothing to do with the dreams whatsoever. And they treat it as useless talk. They treat it as if it has no meaning, has no use, there's no purpose for it, you're wasting our time. And that is a mistake as well. That is another extreme. Okay? That is another extreme. Whereas Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they are between the two extremes. They are between these two parties. They're in the middle. So Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they believe that the dreams, they are what is remaining, the last remaining remnants of revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's mentioned in the hadith sahih of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Bukhari, in which he spoke about the last remaining portion of the revelation, after the prophets have been finished, they've been sealed with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are no more prophets. So the revelation has been cut off, except for the religious dream. So in that religious dream, Allah Ta'ala may give some revelation. But we don't mix that, however, with the revelation of the Quran and the Sunnah. There's a big difference between the two. The Quran and the Sunnah is something which can be verified, can be checked, can be confirmed. And it is binding upon us, being ordered upon us to follow what's in the Quran and the Sunnah, to refer all our disputes to that. And the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was complete with the completion of the Quran and the Sunnah. With the death of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam was complete. So we don't have the mistake as well of the Sufis. The Sufis, they go to an extreme level where their shaykh will come back from his sleep. In the morning, he'll say, I had a dream. And he will make ahkam from his dream. He'll say revelation. They said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, so and so and so and so and so and so. And they say, which hadith was that? No, it was in my dream. I saw Rasulullah in my dream. And he told me so. And they will abrogate ahkam, change the rules. So you see how serious the matter of the dreams they are. And don't be surprised. Even this man Tahir Qadiri. He said that he studied with Abu Hanifa for 9 years in his dreams. Every night he would sit with Abu Hanifa and study with him directly as his student in his dream. For 9 years, he said. And he was like so adamant. He said, Wallahi, Wallahi. So you see, some people go to this is why it's very dangerous. You don't want to go to an extreme when it comes to the dream. That's why many times when people that ask about, anybody that can interpret dreams, even though we studied the topic, with Shaykh Ahmad, he studied the topic, but we also learn as part of that topic is be careful about interpreting the dreams. That's why people ask, can you interpret this dream? I said, I try to avoid it. I don't want to go that because I don't want to make that mistake. I don't want to end up becoming one of those extremists in their dreams. Especially if you try to interpret a dream without knowledge. Because interpreting a dream without knowledge is like making ijtihad without knowledge. When you are interpreting a dream, it's a form of ijtihad. It's a form of ijtihad. Because you're trying to find out what message is there of revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the indication of the dream. And that is something much harder than trying to extract ruling from the Quran and the Sunnah. Because the Quran and Sunnah is clear and it is definite, it's authentic, it can be authenticated. There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You can say, okay, let's see, is it authentic? Who narrated it? What is his condition? Is he hafiz? Is he not hafiz? Did he meet the narrator that he claimed to have narrated from? Is he a student or not? What's his name? You can look to his biography. And if somebody is in there which is weak, then you okay, this hadith is da'if. We don't take from it. We don't accept it. We don't extract any rules from this. But when somebody comes to you with a dream, and there's no way for you to check if he really saw what he saw. There's no way for you to check, did he tell you the whole story? Some people, they can tell you part of the dream because they're embarrassed about the other part. But they tell it to you like this, and you want to interpret based upon that. You want to extract from that message of revelation from Allah based upon half the story. And people could twist it, and there's no way for you to check. It's like a matter of ghaib, because only him and Allah knows what really was in that dream. That's why the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the one who lies about what he saw in a dream is kufr. And the ulama said kufr akbar. Okay? If he says as a religious dream, there's one thing if somebody says to his wife, I dreamed about you and she didn't really dream about you. This is haram, this is a sin. But if he's saying religious dream, I saw Rasulullah and he said so and so, and he's lying, this is a form of kufr akbar. Very serious. Very serious matter. So this is why it's so dangerous. When somebody comes to you, I saw a dream, and you want to trust what they say, and you want to interpret from that and give him message saying this is from Allah, is like signing a fatwa from Allah. And that is harder sometimes than from the actual revelation. So the manhaj of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, when we look to the dreams, we have to understand, not every dream has in it a message from Allah. Not every dream is a religious dream. There's something called al-ru'ya, the religious dream that Allah has shown you something. Okay, something which Allah has shown you. And there is also, after that, the dunya dream. Okay, the hulm of shaitan. Okay, it could be hulm of shaitan, which is a nightmare or something bad that they show you. You could see something which is, anything, the definition of a bad dream is anything which is bad in the dunya is bad in the dream. So if you see yourself, for example, you're killing your own mother in your dream, this is a bad dream, it's a nightmare. If you see yourself doing haram, drinking alcohol in your dream, or committing zina in the dream, this is a bad dream. Okay? Generally when we talk about the wet dreams, this is a bad dream, this is from shaitan. So you have the ru'ya from Allah, you have al-hulm from the shaitan, and then you have ahlam of the dunya as well. So the third type of dream is neither from shaitan nor from Allah, is just you're seeing things, whatever was on your mind. Whatever you were doing during the day, you'll see something about it in the night time. Whatever was on your mind, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're stressed about, you'll see something about it in the night time. So those are the ordinary dreams, has no significance, has no meaning. So the first thing when you're looking at a dream is to find out which of these three is it. The bad dream is well known, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever sees a bad dream, you should not talk about it to anybody. You don't go around telling everybody what nightmare you saw. Okay? You don't go around telling somebody about your wet dream or your evil dream. You don't talk, it's not allowed. Okay? It's not allowed. Okay? The dunya dream, sometimes, I used to be with the Shaykh sometimes. People phone the Shaykh in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and say, Shaykh, I saw a dream. And then say, Shaykh, okay, tell me what you saw. So he will start describing the story. And I watch the Shaykh's expression. I'm not hearing I can't actually hear the dream, but I'm looking at the Shaykh's expression. And Shaykh's like, okay. And he's ready to say something. Oh, it's not finished yet. And it's going on and on and on. Yeah. After about 5 minutes, Shaykh Omar said, look, this is not a dream, this is a Bollywood movie. No, this is crazy. There's no meaning to this one. This is just your dream. You saw some story. There's no religious dream. So some people, they just see something long and they think it's significant. It's not. Okay. So the ru'ya, it will have some religious symbolism to it. Have some kind of sign, some symbols in it. Like somebody, or it will be something which they see with certain symbolism, they see it regularly, recurring over and over again. That makes them have this concern, this have this concern about why am I seeing this dream? That's when you will consider it maybe it's a religious dream. But you just see some long movie in your dreams and you have some story, or this is just a dunya dream. It's mentioned in Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ said, narrated by Abu Baraa, okay, that the Prophet ﷺ said that the dream, the ru'ya, is 3 times. Al-ru'ya salihah, the good religious dream, and that is the glad tiding from Allah. And the ru'ya from shaitan, that makes you sad. And the ru'ya that comes from within you himself. It just comes from yourself, it's just from your nafs. So these are the 3 types of dream that we refer to in the ahkam. And Auf bin Malik, he narrated another hadith by the Prophet ﷺ. He said the dream is 3 types. The nightmare from the shaitan, which is to make you sad. The shaitan is aiming to make you sad. And you'll see sometimes somebody has a nightmare, it can really shake you. You see something really bad. Maybe the shaitan show you something, his wife betraying him. You wake up depressed, even though he knows it's not real. You wake up so depressed, so terrified, look to his wife. Shaitan wants to incite this, this discord in your own family. Wants to separate husband from wife. So he shows you these things. He'll show you some nightmares. And he'll make you really concerned. So the hadith said the first time is the nightmare from shaitan, which is to make you sad. The shaitan wants to make you sad. And then is the dream of whatever the man was concerned with in the daytime, he sees in the nighttime. That's the second type of dream. And then he said the ru'ya, which is 1/46 of the prophethood. Okay, so the third one is the religious dream, is the 1/46 of the prophethood. And that's what's remaining of the revelation. And that's hadith narrated in Sunan Ibn Majah. So considering that is, we are talking about here something which is remaining of the prophethood, something remaining of the revelation. It's not something to be disregarded. Although we need to be careful and be aware of what we are saying and not to rush into interpreting dreams, we also can't ignore it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us something for a reason, for a purpose, to benefit us, to correct us, to help us. Sometimes maybe you're missing something in your own ibadah. Allah shows you a dream to point it out to you, to correct you, to give you that advice and nasiha, so you know how to correct yourself. So you can't ignore it as well. You can't just be so terrified of interpreting the dream that you completely give up on it. And then you miss what Allah is trying to show you. So you see there's a very, very careful balance you need to have. So this is what happened with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He used to see everybody used to have dreams, and they came to the Prophet ﷺ. And he always used to go to him and ask him, I saw this dream, I saw that. And he always used to wonder himself, how come I never see a dream? Why don't I get a dream? Until one day he saw a dream. And he asked the Prophet ﷺ the meaning of that dream. And what was the meaning of that dream? The Prophet ﷺ said about it, he said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said that Allah is saying in this dream that you are good, that he is good man, he is good worshipper. But if he did Qiyamul Layl, he'll be even better. So you see how there is a message there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching everything you do. He's watching all of your deeds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to correct you. He wants to show you your path to Jannah. He wants to show you what you're doing wrong or what you're doing not good enough. Or what you could be doing better. To make you better. Trying to teach you. So we cannot just completely ignore that dream. Otherwise we'll miss out on that benefit of it as well. So this is the issue. The other thing we need to know about the dreams is that the Prophet ﷺ taught us about the dreams. That is from his sunnah. He used to interpret the dreams. So by abandoning the dreams, we abandon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And we abandon the knowledge. If we're going to leave that science and completely not study it, we will not be able to gain and learn from the ilm that Allah revealed to Muhammad ﷺ and that he taught to his companions. Okay? So we should be wary about interpreting dreams. Okay, because people lie, and because sometimes they even commit the kufr in that as well. But we need to address it as well. Okay, we need to address it, and no matter how many people are misguided on that issue, we need to be, if we are the ones who have knowledge on the topic, and other people are misguided, speaking without knowledge, then how is it that we don't speak and the knowledge never comes out? If only the misguidance is spread, people are, interpreting dreams out of their desires, and that's floating everywhere, and you see it everywhere. Social media, people interpreting dreams left, right, centre. And so, if people of ignorance are speaking about it, and the people who have knowledge about it, out of fear, they don't mention it at all, they don't talk about it at all, they don't interpret it at all, then the people will end up going to the ignorance, end up going to the misguided, and that knowledge of it will be lost, will be polluted. We're polluted with the ignorance. Because the knowledge of people about it was silent. So there's no doubt, al-ru'a, the topic of al-ru'a, it has a great wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we believe in it, it's part of our aqeedah, part of our belief of al-sunnah wal jama'ah, that we believe in the al-ru'ya salihah, the good dreams from Allah that contains in it, a 46th portion of the prophethood. So, and it is glad tidings from Allah. It is sometimes from the bushra, the good news Allah has given us in the dream. So we need to study what they are and how to interpret them, and we need to find out which of the dreams are a fatwa for you and which dreams are meaningless for you, and know how to recognize them. So what is al-ru'ya? Okay, or al-ru'ya? Al-ru'ya, the plural, al-ru'ya, the singular. Al-ru'ya in the Arabic language, okay, linguistically, we don't have the board with us today, but we will do our best, inshallah. Imagine me writing on the board for you. The camera's in the wrong direction, but you could do it if you wanted to. Al-ru'ya, linguistically in the Arabic language, it is what a man sees in his sleep. Okay? What a man sees in his sleep. That is called al-ru'ya. Okay, is the dream. While you're sleeping, whatever you see, that is called al-ru'ya. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said, al-ru'ya is a parable or an example mentioned by the angel responsible for the dreams in order for the viewer, for the one seeing the dream, to understand that parable in his heart and interpret it in the same way. So Ibn al-Qayyim explained the ru'ya in a bit more detail now, exactly what we mean by now we're talking about the Islamic dream, the religious dream. Meaning Allah Ta'ala will show you something in your dream, in your sleep, as a parable, as an example. Okay, that's why we say there's always a symbolism. Maybe you see you're drinking milk. Maybe you see you're wearing long clothes. Maybe you see you're making wudu. Maybe you hear the adhan. Maybe there's some kind of symbolism. Okay? The meaning of it is not it's time to pray. When you hear the adhan in your dream, it's not meaning it's time to pray. But it's a symbol, some parable. Okay, so Ibn Qayyim said that the ru'ya is a parable that the angel responsible for the dreams will mention it in order for you, for the one seeing that dream, for you to understand that example and interpret it in the way Allah intended. In the way Allah intended for that parable. Okay. So what is the difference between these two terms? It's quite a long quote, so we'll leave it inshallah. Okay. So there's two terms for the word dream as well. Okay, as we mentioned before. Al-ru'ya and al-hulm. Okay, or ahlam as a plural. So what's the difference between the two? Linguistically, the two terms are synonymous. Both of them are used for the dream, for what you see in your sleep. And each one can be used in place of the other. So you could say al-hulm instead of al-ru'ya, or ru'ya instead of al-hulm, when you're talking about dreams in general. But usually what we refer to with these terms specifically, we use the word ru'ya for a good dream and al-hulm for something which is a bad dream or something which is just dunya dream. Okay, so we'll separate between the two because the hadith mentions specifically ru'ya salihah, mentioned the good dream, and he mentioned in the other hadith mentioned the hulm or the ahlam for the other dreams. So we separate between these two and we say there's a principle in the Sharia that التعبير عن مسائل العقائد والفقه بألفاظ النصوص أولى من التعبير بألفاظ النفوس. He said that the explanation or explaining the matters of aqidah and fiqh using the words of the text is always better than using or explaining using the words of the people. So instead of us changing the words and paraphrasing, why paraphrase it? Allah gave you good words to use already. Use the words the way Allah used them. And don't, there's no need to mix it, even if the linguistic meaning is similar. So, another definition that's been given for the ru'ya or the religious dream is been said that ru'ya is what the person sees while he is sleeping from objects or symbols. Okay. So the ru'ya, we mentioned, is the symbols that you see. Okay. So it's not referring necessarily to the whole dream. But what is significant, what the important part is that needs to be interpreted, is not the whole story, the whole timeline necessarily, but certain symbolism. Okay, those symbols that you will see, that's what you need to interpret and understand. Why is Allah showing you these symbols? Okay? That's why when you're telling somebody your whole Bollywood movie of your dream, is that's not really necessarily what needs to be interpreted. What needs to be interpreted is the symbolism in that dream. Imam al-Qasimi, he said about the dreams, he said one of the terminologies or one of the terms that the Sharia has defined concerning al-ru'ya is that the ru'ya is what distinguishes between the haqq and the batil. So he said the ru'ya is what distinguishes between the haqq and the batil. So they said you see something in the dream, and in that you're looking for something which will distinguish, particular meaning of truth versus the falsehood. Okay, and Imam al-Qasimi, he said as well that he disliked to use the term ru'ya for any dream from the shaitan, any nightmare, any wet dream, any bad dream. Imam al-Qasimi said he disliked to use that term for those dreams. Rather, we use the word al-halim or other terms for those dreams. So we say al-halim is the one who has bad dream or a wet dream. Okay, we say that there's none of that with that person. And we say as well, there's a hadith narrated by Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Al-ru'ya as-salihah min Allah wal-hulmu min ash-shaytan." Okay, so he used the two terms. He said the good dream, al-ru'ya as-salihah, the good ru'ya is from Allah. Wal-hulm, and the dream or the bad dream is from shaitan. So he distinguished these two terms, and that's why we stick to those terminology and we try to avoid anything else. The other thing that we understand distinguishing between these types of dreams is that the good dream will always give you bushra, glad tidings, good news. There will always be something in there which is good and it's part of revelation. So the good dream is always going to be giving you some kind of good news or glad tidings. Even though there could be some indication of some a sad event to happen, but it is for you still a good sign. There's some goodness in that for you, for you to understand. And it's mentioned as a hadith, mentioned in tafsir of the verse, Surah Yusuf, verse 64. Okay, Surah Yusuf, verse 64, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قال هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما آمنتكم على أخيه من قبل فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين. So this is talking about Yusuf alayhi salam. He said, can I entrust him to you except the way I entrusted his brother Yusuf before? Allah is the best guard and He is the most merciful of those who show mercy. I think the verse I want as well is not this one exactly. I've got the wrong verse here, but the verse I'm looking for in relation to Yusuf alayhi salam, because he was the one known for his interpretation of the dream. But the verse, Allah Ta'ala said that they have glad tidings in dunya and in the hereafter. This is what the verse says. And it's been mentioned about it that that glad tidings in the dunya is the dream about the hereafter. And that glad tidings, he said, could be that a man may see ru'ya salihah, he might see a good dream about that glad tidings for him, or it may be seen by somebody else. So it could be that you have a good dream with good news, glad tidings about yourself, or it could be the good news you see about someone else, about another person. Okay? So it's not necessarily every dream is about you. It could be about somebody else as well. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in another hadith about the dreams, he said, there is nothing left of the revelation except for mubashirat. Okay, so mubashirat means glad tidings, the good news. So they asked him, what are the glad tidings? He said, it is ar-ru'ya salihah, the good dream. Okay. So this is what is remaining of the revelation. It's always going to be mubashirat, glad tidings, some good news, good news for you, good dream. Okay. It's also been mentioned, I already mentioned to you that about some of the great ulama, the people known for this fiqh of the dreams. Among them, the famous Yusuf alayhi salam. He was known at talent and natural instinct for interpreting the dreams. Among this ummah as well, it's part of our own attribute, part of the attribute of this ummah, that we will see good dreams. Because Allah Ta'ala, He made that the remnant, all the remaining parts of revelation of prophethood is in the good dreams, and that's been remaining for this ummah. So one of the attributes of the ummah, that we will see those dreams. Okay? And that is the 46 parts of revelation for this ummah, for the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And so that is why it is fard kifaya. We say it is fard al-kifaya, it's a duty, a sufficient duty upon the ummah to study the knowledge of interpreting the dreams. Okay? Because that has been something designated for this ummah. Which means there needs to be some people among the ummah that study it, that learn about interpreting the dreams so that they can interpret it and get access to that. And if there are some of the ulama that have done it, then that is sufficient. Nobody else is sinful or obliged to learn it beyond that. But if nobody studied that knowledge at all, then we are all sinful for that, because we cannot neglect that knowledge of that science. Rather, it's a noble science. It's a noble science of the Sharia, and one of the most difficult and most accurate sciences as well, to learn. Okay, we said there's a principle in the Sharia that the one who missed the foundation has missed, the rest. Who missed all of it. So that's why we need to study the framework for interpreting the dreams, meaning the pillars, the conditions of interpreting dreams. What are the conditions for a dream to be a religious dream or a bad dream, or the pillars and conditions of interpreting the dream. Because there's a lot more to interpret than you think. It's not just to hear what the dream was. You need to know about who the person was. What is their condition? Are they male? Are they female? Are they married or are they single? Do they have children? What is, what is the situation? Are they mujahid or are they qa'id? It all makes a massive difference to the meaning of the symbolism of the dream as well. So anyway, so we're running out of time for tonight anyway. We're going to finish on time. So we will continue the topic inshallah. We had a good basic introduction to introduce us to the topic, and we can start to look to those pillars and conditions and frameworks for interpreting the dream from tomorrow inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.